You're listening to The Aviation Show,
brought to you by Debella Training.
For more information, contact us on www.debella.co.za now.
It's Tuesday afternoon and welcome back to The Aviation Show, live from 27 Boxes in Marvel. We got Belinda Werner as per normal.
Normal, yeah. The last couple of shows I've been here.
And we've got Hilton Minnaar. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here and thanks for having me.
So now you're like one of the haves in aviation from what I've heard, eh?
Ooh, maybe you know something I don't.
But just tell us a bit about yourself, where it all started,
Sure.
Exactly what you do.
Well, I don't think we've got enough time, but look, I'll try and pop it into a nutshell. Look, I started on the 22nd of August 1990, went into the South African Air Force, and basically after qualifying, I joined 22 Squadron, and we were operating Oryxes, Allos, and actually Pumas at the time. And I was there for 9 years, did quite a few trips, which I think we'll talk about just now. And then after that, I joined a company called Rossi, which was at Lanseria, Rossi Avionics, and worked quite a lot in the avionics workshops, and then did quite a few trips, and went to quite a few places. And then I was spotted by somebody at Balmoral Aviation, and they said, "Look, you look like a soldier of fortune. We'd like to send you to Afghanistan and Pakistan." And I thought,
And you said, "Wow!"
Yeah, I jumped at it, and I went.
And how was that?
And look, it was very interesting. I learnt a lot. It was actually Afghanistan was a really place close to my heart. Loved going there, and after the problem started, my wife actually said to me, "No way, you are banned from Afghanistan," and that ended there.
I think nobody really understands what it is like until you've gone there.
Yeah, look, the nice thing is it's a completely different culture, and what always used to be special to me is like seeing. Going there, and it's in winter time, it's snowing, and you look at these people. They are so primitive, and yet they are able to make a living, and they're able to exist there. And small little things like even eating the bread and the cherry pie that the guy used to make there. It brings back just thinking about it brings back awesome memories.
I didn't know that it snowed there.
Oh,
Afghanistan,
absolutely.
it gets very hot and very cold.
When I think of Afghanistan, I just think of these hilly, like desert.
It gets quite cold.
Look, the thing is very hot in the summer and very, very cold in the winter, because you've got the Hindu Kush Mountains, which are actually run close by to Kabul, where I was, and it got so cold that there was a couple of aircraft parked there. There was a 727, which was close to our containers we used to be. The one day it snowed so much that enough snow actually landed on the tailplane of the aircraft that it sent the nose wheel into the air.
Wow.
And we were actually there the one day, and it sat like that for a long time until the snow started to thaw. And the one day suddenly that thing just decided to park its nose wheel, and it was a hell of a thing because it came down with a speed of note.
So you must have seen some interesting things in your life.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how many continents have you been to?
Wow, it's actually quite a few. I've been just about all over Africa. We've been that's since Rossi days. After Rossi, I joined Norse, and I was with them for quite some time. And look, we went just about all over Africa. I've been to Asia, Pakistan, Kabul, and just about. Also to America. Been to America, but that was on a holiday though.
Yeah.
But
which was the best out of all of these places?
But then, before then, interestingly enough, I've actually done 7 Antarctic trips, which was quite interesting.
That's so cool, because I don't think many engineers have been to Antarctica.
What is it on a Herc, or how do you?
No, we actually sailed on the SA Gullis, and I was with 22 Squadron. And we used to have the helicopters go on the ship, and then we sailed down, and then after that we were offloading the ship, all special equipment for the Department of Environmental Affairs, using the aircraft to carry the stuff onto the ice shelf, and then from there they would then move it with cabooses to the Festes base, which is the new base that they were building. And my last trip, it was actually quite nice because I spent 3.5 months there.
Sure.
And we actually stayed on the new base.
So what is the temperatures like?
Well, yeah, look, if it's a warm day, you're looking at about -4, -5, and on a very cold day, -30.
Oh, no,
plus.
thank you.
How do you
but
handle
actually-
-30?
Well, you know what? You actually get so used to it. If the sun is shining and the wind isn't blowing, you can actually walk around with your shirt off. And the one day we were actually digging ice because the diesel bunker missed fuel. And it's now Antarctica is like an environmental hotspot. Everybody has its eye. They all have their eye on Antarctica.
Mhm.
And if they pick up that there's something wrong or there's pollution, then they actually find the country. And we were tasked to basically go out there and chop the ice up and get it into drums so they could ship it back to South Africa. And we got so hot doing that with our freezer suits on that we actually pulled our shirts off and we were working with actually in t-shirts. So you you get used to it. It becomes the cold is something you can manage because you can always put something on. When you get to the heat, and I've experienced the Sahara Desert in Hassi Messaoud, Algeria, and that is another kettle of fish altogether because you breathe the air in and it actually burns your lungs. It's so hot, and that is something I can't handle. I can't handle too much heat because you can only take so much off, and then that's it.
I've had heat like that when I had a Russian sauna. It was pretty warm as well.
Yeah, no, but sure. But the Russian sauna only lasts an hour. Then you've got to work on an aircraft in the sun, and it's a
There's
little bit
nothing
more
you can do about
difficult.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what kind of periods of time were you away from home?
Look, in my Air Force days, I was away on average 6 months of the year. I used to do quite a lot of sailing. We used to work with the SA Navy a lot. We did a couple of land trips as well, and it was I would say on average about 6 months of the year.
Okay.
And then going into the civilian sector with Rosse and with Norse and Balmoral, it was basically I'd say about 6 to 8 weeks on, and then say 4 weeks off. Of which in that time I couldn't stay at home. I used to go into work anyway and just carry on.
Sure. Were you married at that time?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
No, it was only after I've been married 12 years now, but it was it was in my
Before married life.
Yes, it was. That was actually mainly that, and then I realized, wait a minute, there's got to be more to life. I've got to get out there now,
Yeah.
and that's
Otherwise, you would have wanted to spend time with the loved ones.
yes, absolutely.
Contract's fun and it pays well, but
It
you kind of
is,
get to a
but-
point where you say,
Yeah, absolutely.
Enough
There's
of it,
you get to a stage in your life where you think, listen, there's got to be something more. There's something missing, and I actually really wanted children, and that's really what drove me to. But then again, I was still doing contracts while I was married, but it just became a little bit less, and then eventually we decided, okay, it's time to do something else.
And then you decided that it's time to have your own company.
Well, okay, that only came a little bit later. I joined TPSC and I worked with them for quite a while, and then it was during that time where I thought, you know what, it's time for me to take on something, challenging and do something really, really special. And then I started my company, which is Stealth Avionics Maintenance Services. We're currently based at Grand Central.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you work all over.
All over the place, yeah. We try and look, if a customer wants to send us just about anywhere in Africa, and we've done just about all over Africa with Stealth, we jump at the opportunity and we go, because there's a lot of guys that operate companies, especially in the helicopter industry, that they can't fly the aircraft back to South Africa for servicings. We go up, we do the snags, we do the maintenance, we do the annual sign-out checks, and we do it all there.
But how have you found now transitioning from kind of Air Force and Air Force mentality to your own business?
Look, it's a completely different kettle of fish, and that's probably the reason why I didn't stay in the Air Force as long as what some other guys would. It's almost like you kind of get conditioned when you're in the Air Force because you get used to the same old thing every day. Look, let me make no mistake, I loved the Air Force. I really did. It was an awesome time of my life. And but I wanted something different. I wanted something a little bit more. There was too much red tape in the Air Force for me. Too much parades and reading minutes of things that did not really concern me. I had to know about this sergeant major is getting a medal because of he's doing this. And really, I wanted to focus on the aviation side of it. I wanted to go out there and make a difference in aviation.
In aviation,
That's
yeah.
it.
Cool. Well, when we come back after the break, we're going to be hearing some hilarious stories. One about the hoisting. But before we get there, I just want to ask you quickly: is it true that the guys in the Air Force, they used to drag those, whatever they call those rescue slings, from the helicopters, and then they drag it, and when the guy's in the ocean and he actually touches it, then he gets a nice static shot?
No, it's not actually being in the ocean. There's another story to that. It's actually when the guys are flying in Antarctica,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're busy cargo slinging. Then what will happen is that strop will hang down. But as the aircraft is coming in to make an approach in order to pick something up, there's a bit of downdraft. It then whips the ice up, and that then charges the blades. And then that gives you a kick of note. I've seen guys just about have sparks on their teeth from that. No, it's what you actually got to do, because now you've got a pair of gloves on. Your gloves are wet from handling the thing, so it's super conductivity. What you got to do, believe it or not, we used to cargo sling a lot of fuel drums. We would actually then take a stick, you earth the cargo sling onto the fuel drum, and then
there's drums full of fuel.
it's full of fuel. And then you connect it to the aircraft and then go.
Sparks and fuel doesn't sound like a good combination
well,
to
luckily,
me.
look, the fuel drums are closed, so there's no real risk there. But that's the only way to do it. If you want to look like Prime Evil from one of the cartoon characters with your teeth glowing, then you must grab onto that hook.
We're going to hear more about this after the break.
Get all of today's aviation news on one site. Visit pilotspost.com. Updated twice a week, Pilots Post is a convenient way for aviation professionals and enthusiasts to remain updated with the latest aviation technologies, products, events, and news. Aviation safety, technical information, events reports, aircraft reviews, and aviation personalities are some of our most popular articles. Now in its 5th year with more than 100,000 hits per month and almost 15,000 dedicated readers, Pilots Post is available free on the web. No registration is required. To read Pilots Post, simply go to www.pilotspost.com.
Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Yeah. Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
And welcome back to the Aviation Show, coming to you live from 27 Boxes in Melville. We're speaking to Hilton Minnaar from Stealth Avionics, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the banter that goes on between pilots and engineers. Obviously, the pilots are much better, but I mean,
Oh, really?
yeah.
You know what, Des, I know, look, you used to be a pilot, and that's why I think I'm gonna let that one slide, because look, I am in good company. But anyway, getting to that.
There's always this banter between pilots and engineers.
But you get good banter and bad banter. Some guys take it too
sure.
far.
Yeah,
No, they do a little bit. Look, when I was at 22 Squadron, there was a man that was with us, a guy from Denell. His name was Keith Charlesworth, a very, very special man. And he actually taught us a word which is called anthropomorphosite. So we say, what is an anthropomorphosite? And he says, you know what? An anthropomorphosite is a godlike being who thinks he can walk on water, and he knows he's better than you. And I thought, okay. And he says, you will meet them. You know, give it a couple of times, you'll meet them. And then I soon realized that the old school Oryx pilot is your classic anthropomorphosite.
Okay.
Because you hear about stories about the guys in the jets, the jetty guys, they call them the flamchata. There's always the pilots are also, but the helicopter pilots used to look down. They look down on the jet pilots.
Yeah.
So you can imagine how they used to look down on us as the engineers.
I've heard that so often, that the helicopter pilots look down on the fixed wing guys, and
That's because they can hover, that's why.
No, sure. But anyway, getting to a bit of a story that I'd like to tell you guys about. We were actually going out. We were called in over a weekend because there was quite a severe fire in the Grabouw area, and they mobilized an Oryx quickly, and we had to go and do the firefighting.
Mhm.
So I was the engineer on duty, so I went along to go and help them, and to also make sure the aircraft stays safe and we are able to fulfill our mission. So anyway, we fly to Grabo, we land there next to a dam. It was a beautiful place, quite a few trees and stuff. So we land, and we've got one of these monsoon buckets, which is an old school, old type bucket. And so I carried the bucket out of the aircraft and I put it down, get all the chains all sorted out. And
But how big
ready.
is it there?
It's quite big. It's quite a big.
What, a 50
it can
litre
take-
thing?
No, this thing could take 2 tons.
Oh,
It take 2
so
tons
it's
of water.
like
So
the
it's
size of a car then, or what?
No, not that big, but it's a big bucket. It is a
Okay.
huge
so
bucket.
a ton of water is 1 square meter.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so
2
it's
square meters.
Yeah, this thing is it's heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. Look, the bucket itself's not heavy, but it can take a lot of water
Yeah.
because it's also like a funnel shaped, and it's also nice and tall. So what actually happened then? The guys, we carried the bucket out and we put it there. So now I've got to hold this bucket, and the guys say, okay, look, they're going to take off. They're going to do a quick circuit, and they're going to line up, and then we're going to connect the bucket up to the aircraft. So I said, okay, that's good. We'll do that. Then the guys, they go and they start flying out, and they're actually putting on a bit of speed coming through the circuit that they were flying. And I was looking at the aircraft, and I thought, well, that looks good. And they started to come in. But I realized, okay, look, the approach speed is a bit quick. It's a bit fast. But I held onto the bucket, and I was quite a strong guy. I could hold a bucket. And as the guys are coming in, they start flaring that helicopter. And the more they flare, the more downwash. And the more downwash, it's coming to me. It's coming. Eventually,
But is it now like dust and all sorts
well,
of...
it's dust and it's a lot of wind. It's a lot of wind because look, there was a lot of vegetation there, so it was a lot of wind, and it was sticks and dust and parts of fir tree and all sorts of things. Now I'm holding onto this bucket, and the guy, and I could see the guy's like grinning. He's like, the commander's coming in and he's smiling, and I thought, gee whiz, is this guy for real? But anyway, I'm holding this. As they're coming in, man, I couldn't hold it any longer. I get flung to the right, the bucket goes to the left. Here the bucket starts rolling down the embankment.
Mhm.
But now I think, no, geez, I've got to get this bucket, else I'm going to be in trouble. So I start running after the buckets, but I can't
This
catch up
must
to
be
it.
so funny from the pilot's side.
I can't. Yeah, they were killing themselves laughing. So I'm running after the bucket, but I'm actually dancing on the chains, trying to slow it down so I can grab the thing again. So it must have been hilarious. But anyway, so I'm running after it. Eventually, after all the fun stops, the guys slow down, the bucket stops rolling. I pick the bucket up, and I see, wait a minute, something's wrong here. So I pick the bucket up and I tell the guys to land. The guy said, no, you hook the bucket up. I said, land the aircraft now. They look at me and they shake their heads and they just tell me to hook it up. Eventually, after the 3rd time, and not being able to convince him to land the aircraft, I start waving the closing mechanism of the bucket, which broke off the shaft of where the solenoid actually closes the valve. It's got like a long shaft with a lid on the bottom. That thing snapped off clean. I then waved it at the guys, and then they landed the aircraft. We actually ended up flying back to Easterplaat. We went and we got a Bambi bucket this time, which is the new one. And then we went back, and then I must say, surprisingly, when we hooked up that Bambi bucket, there was
You had to
no
look
wind.
properly.
There
There's
was
no wind.
It
There was no
it was lovely.
smiling and
And that's that's one of my infomorphosite stories because, like I said, I took the flak for it anyway. At the end of the day,
for not
I
holding
was
onto
supposed
the
to hold
bucket.
onto the bucket. Not the fact that I was flung out the way. It's actually completely irrelevant.
In the meantime, the fire's burning, eh?
Oh yeah, no, that's burning.
That doesn't matter.
Yeah, but anyway, we eventually got there. Came back again. We worked a bit later, but we got it sorted out.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I can just imagine you running after this bucket like when there's a piece of paper blowing and you trying to
Yeah,
stand on
absolutely,
it.
absolutely. Except the bucket's the size of a mini.
So what motivates you to stay in this career there?
Well, okay, definitely not the money.
Okay, no,
Okay,
for
but
sure.
no, look, I'll tell you what, it is. I believe it's a special calling, and me as look, I'm an engineer. I am an owner of a company, which is sorry, we mentioned Stealth Avionics, but I'm a very, very much hands-on person as well. I don't let my guys do all the work. I try and do as much as I can, although I've got to run the company and also I've got to obviously delegate a lot of work to them. But I must say I've got a brilliant team at the moment, absolutely brilliant. There's 4 of us in our workshop, and we really have a passion of aviation, and that's what drives us is our passion and our love of doing the job. Wanting to come to work every day, doing the best we can, and that's it. Do the best you can.
And I think that is the most important thing in aviation, because if you don't have the passion, you're not going to think about, did I do it correctly? How can I do it better? If you don't have that passion and it's just a job, it's not going to work.
Absolutely, and that's what I try. That is also what I try and motivate the youngsters that are coming into the industry as well. And I try and tell them, I say, listen, if this is not for you, then you need to get out now so you can start something else. I myself, I've been in this industry for so long. It's 27 years now, and it's all I want to do. Although I am interested in other things. From a business perspective, yes, but from a work perspective, this is the only career for me.
So if they're looking for a passionate avionics guy, where can they get hold of you? Give us your number, your email, whatever you're prepared to give.
Well, okay, look, that'll be hilton@stealthavion.co.za, or they can come and visit me at Grand Central Airport as well. It's prefab building number 1, Grand Central Airport. And if you guys have got some problems with your aeroplanes, you need some work, we will definitely be able to help you.
Wonderful. Well, it's story time, eh?
DeBella Training and Management provides South African civil aviation approved training to aircraft maintenance engineers. From engine to airframe, DeBella offers international quality courses on a wide range of aircraft. Many of our clients are from Africa and the Far East, enjoying DeBella's tranquil on-site accommodation minutes away from the airport, and also provide courses in your country depending on your training needs. DeBella's pioneering range of practical hands-on training videos augment the DeBella theoretical modules, modernizing the aviation training industry. Visit www.debella.co.za now. DeBella, you name it, we train it.
Real aviation stories with DeBella.
Submit your real life story to www.debella.co.za.
And you could be featured on the Aviation Show live on brandlive.co.za or in our upcoming book.
Now, before the show, we were talking about a couple of stories, and you were telling me something to do with underpants or underwear and Nesquik. Do you want to elaborate?
Yeah, that's also, it takes me back a long time. I was a corporal at the time, so I was new in the aviation scene. We were working on Puma helicopters, and I did a trip, which was a joint maritime course. We were lucky enough to actually go into the North Sea, and we operated with about, I think there was 32 navies that took part in that particular exercise. It was the commemoration of World War II, of D-Day.
Ah, cool.
And so we were actually in France at the time, and it was we were getting an early night because there was going to be something the next day that we had to get ready. I think we had to go and fly, so we actually got to bed relatively early. But I myself, I don't like sleeping with pajamas, so I was up in my bunk sleeping. And the next thing, one of the guys that from the Navy, he was a chief petty officer. He actually felt a bit sorry for me because I was a corporal. He knew that, okay, look, the guys, they don't get to mingle with the senior rates, which are sergeant and up. So he
You're low down on the ranks.
Yeah, this is it. I was young, man. I think I was 21 years old or something, 22, round about there. But anyway, so now I'm sleeping. He comes, he says, come, I want to show you something. So I said, what are you talking about, Chief? He said, come quickly, come. I said, wait, man. And I found my underpants. I grabbed my underpants on, and I start running after him quickly. I thought he's going to show me something outside. Next thing, we start climbing stairs. And I think, where are we going now? He says, no, come, this is important. Come look here. I think, gee whiz. So I go after him, and I carry on. Next thing, I find myself in the senior rates mess on the ship. But there's nobody there. So I thought, okay, cool. But he wants to talk about this and that, and I think he'd been to the bar, so he had a couple of stories that he wanted to tell me and whatever. So,
but
anyways,
you in your underpants.
I'm in my underpants. So next thing he says, I have some Nesquik. Here's a Nesquik and some biscuits. So I start drinking the Nesquik and eating the biscuits. Next thing, the ship comes off watch, and what happens is at around about 10 o'clock, they actually have a change of watches where the night shift goes on and the earlier shift comes off, and then the guys normally come into the mess to come and basically eat and drink something, have some coffee and biscuits and snacks before they go to bed. And here I'm sitting here, next thing this mess hall piles out with all these guys coming off watch. And they're all like senior
Mr.
guys.
Minnaar.
So now I'm standing and I look there and I go red. But gee, look, there was a couple of guys there that didn't really like me because they said I was getting away with too much nonsense. Being a corporal, they said I should have been mopping the floors. But then the guys who were with me said, no, this guy works on the helicopter and that's all he does. So that's all I did. But anyway, so the guy comes and he says, young man, what are you doing, young man? And I said, having some Nesquik, Chief. He says, in your freaking underpants.
I can just think of, the military being so strict and everything.
That was very funny. Yeah, needless to say, the next day, I actually found myself in the Sergeant Major of the ship's office with my commanding officer, and he was having to do some explaining and convince them that I wasn't selling my body on the ship.
Anyway, how much would you have gotten for saying that?
No, not much.
Yeah, but through all of that, you're still passionate. So through malaria and through all sorts of stuff, still passionate.
Oh, absolutely. And
well
if I can advise anybody, look, if you're in this for the long haul, you're in it for the long haul. Don't do half a job. Do the best you can. And that's it. If you want to take this career seriously, do the best you can.
That's all.
We've run out of time again. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been
Thank you very much.
pleasure.
It's been lovely being here.
Wonderful. See you again soon.
Till same time next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to The Aviation Show on brandlive.co.za, proudly brought to you by DeBella Training.
Visit www.debella.co.za now.